So do you have something that you do daily just to release the tension, or something that make you feel?
Yeah, I think that listening to music is very important. When I'm in my chambers, I usually have music on. I have an iPod, and I have an iPod player, so I can do that. And so that's really nice. And at home, I have a extremely friendly, very sweet, and very needy cat who's I've had for 4 years now, who needs a lot of attention, and has the personality of a dog, and he's like Velcro. He follows me everywhere, and when I get home, he will not stop crying until I get down on the floor and pet him and play with him for a while. And the longer I wait, the louder he yells, because he wants attention now. So that's really kind of nice, because he's just very sweet. And then also, I like to talk to friends on the phone at night. Or I don't chat as much online as I used to with friends. It's more phone contact, because once again, the biggest problem of the job is the isolation, and so I do everything I can to get out of that when I have the chance to do it.
And being a judge, you actually don't talk very much during the session.
Right, you don't. Mostly the lawyers talk, and so that's different from being a lawyer. As a trial lawyer, as a prosecutor, I had about 50 jury trials or so that I tried. And of course, then you're doing so much of the talking. As the prosecutor, you do a majority of the talking in a trial. And so to switch roles and just be neutral and sit back, and once in a while, I will ask a question of the witness, but just to clarify things and make things clear. You can do that, but you can't advocate for one side or another. You can't show a jury, for example, which way you're thinking. You really have to play a poker face. And sometimes that's not always easy.
Definitely not.
Right. So it's interesting part of the job is determining who you believe. That's the biggest part of the jury system. And a lot of civil trials, they give up the right to a jury and they have the judge decide it. That's very common. Probably more often than not, a civil trial, which means a lawsuit, not a criminal trial where somebody's being prosecuted by the state, but a civil trial where one person is suing the other. And then I get to decide how to evaluate witnesses. And there was one case that I had where property owners at the bottom of the hill were suing property owners at the top of the hill, claiming that the property owners at the top of the hill did some things in construction that destabilized the hill. So there was a lawsuit over that. And the main plaintiff witness was just lying, and it was so obvious. It was the most blatant, bald-faced lying I've probably ever seen in court. And I really wanted to tell her that and say, I've been in the system 20 years and I've heard hundreds of witnesses, including criminals, and you're the worst of them all. But you can't say that. I just said I had some serious problems with her credibility and ruled for the other side. So that is the difference. They call it a court trial when the judge decides. That's extremely rare in criminal cases. Almost every criminal case, it's a jury trial. And then I'm just the referee, basically.
That's true. So the judge in a trial cases, the jurors are the one they are the judge.
Right. And as I always tell them during the jury selection process, which can take anywhere from 4 hours to 2 weeks or more, depending on the length of the trial, I always talk about how as jurors, they get to decide what the facts are. And I give them what the law is, and they apply the law to the facts as they find the facts to be and reach their verdict. Sometimes you have what's known as a hung jury, where the jury can't agree. Criminal cases, it has to be unanimous. Civil cases, 9 jurors have to agree. But most of the time in criminal cases, the jurors come to reach a verdict because they work at it. They really do. And they ask for testimony to be read back to them, so the court reporter can read back testimony from the trial to clarify things. And the difference is, when I was a lawyer and I had a jury deliberating because I had a stake in the action, I couldn't work. I was so nervous. So when the jury was out, I was just like pacing around my office, and I just couldn't get any serious work done. As a judge, it doesn't matter to me what the verdict is. I'm just the referee, right. And so I can get work done when the jury's deliberating.
So in your daily life, you're facing with some really difficult decision. that affect people's life tremendously.
Well, especially in the most difficult part of the job I found was in felony cases, which are cases that somebody can go to prison over, murder, rape, robbery, residential burglary, the arson, the real serious charges. California, the laws are pretty harsh, and we have the 3 strikes and you're out law, which is a topic that I could spend an hour talking about, but that's way far beyond what this conversation is about. But there's sometimes where you have a lot of discretion to sentence people, and sometimes somebody deserves to go away to prison for 20 or 30 or 40 years, but it's very, very difficult for me to do that because I realize that they're human beings, whatever that they did, and sometimes I agonize over it, and I think ultimately I come to the right decision, and if they deserve the long prison sentence and I feel it's appropriate, I do it, but it's not easy, and it's something that I was surprised that I would have so much difficulty over. It's some people just say, I was talking to a judge from another county, he just says, oh, no problem, they did the crime, I just tossed them away in jail for X number of years, no problem. And I'm just thinking, wow, that's, I don't know if that's the best way to judge, because at least I agonize over things like that, but at least I do a lot of thinking about it and try to do the right thing.
Right. So yeah, I imagine that you must see the world very differently than people that's not a judge. I'm wonder if you have to take up your judge hat and let's say you have a date 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, how do you make a transition from something so hot?
Well, the thing is, it's way more difficult for me on a first date than it is in my job, because in my job, that's my comfort zone. I mean, when I'm in my courtroom, I'm used to it. My dad was a judge. I grew up in a courtroom, so and same with public speaking in front of a large group. That's my comfort zone. I enjoy doing that. But going on a first date with somebody I don't know, I tend to be way more serious than I am, and not necessarily make the greatest impression because I get so nervous. People often are amazed to know that I'm actually very shy, and going to a party where I know very few people is extraordinarily difficult for me, or to just approach somebody who's attractive, just to say hi, to talk to him is extraordinarily difficult and takes a tremendous amount of courage for me to do.
So they better have the courage to come up to you.
That would be nice. That would be a lot easier. That would definitely be a lot easier. But that's one of the things I've been trying to work on. And a certain friend of mine gave me a lesson recently on dating 101 on some of the things to do. Because some of my first dates weren't going so well because I do come across as, I think, too serious, just because it's just nervousness.
Right.
And so that's the first few dates are not easy. Then when you get beyond that, then that's when sort of the fun starts, when you get to know somebody and things like that.
Nobody would know until you just mention it, because you are excellent public speakers,
right?
And you're a judge. I mean, it's hard to imagine that you'd be like nervous going on a first date, but it's very good to be able to see the different side of you.
Oh yeah, it's completely different, and people who know me really well and know my sense of humor and are surprised when they hear that. They say, really, you as a judge have a difficulty approaching somebody, or have difficulty on a first date. It's like, oh yeah, it's hard, and I've certainly had my share of relationships. My last serious one ended about, it's been about 1.5 years now, and I sort of took a little break from the dating scene, but it's time to get back.
So then maybe whoever you go see on a first date, make sure that you have to do 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I've been told smile and relax. Easier said than done.
Smile and relax.
Smile and relax. It's like people, witnesses testifying in a courtroom. They're often scared, and you can tell, and they're terrified. And with me, it's like, why? This is I'm so used to this place. And during a jury selection process, the jurors, one by one, have to talk about their background and about their case. And I know for a lot of them, it's just terrifying, because speaking in front of a room full of 75 strangers, and for me, it's like, really, why is that so hard? It's second nature. Yeah.